Hello world, it's your girl Mel here, and I am super stoked about the topic that I'm going to talk about in this video. Most of you are familiar with my video, He Was My Dad, He Was My First Rape Culture Hurts, where I discuss being an incest survivor when my biological dad was my first predator. Well, I've gotten a lot of responses from that video. I've also created a survivors group in Facebook called Striving to Survive to Thrive, which has grown immensely in a very short period of time. I do recommend that there's anyone out there who has experienced sexual abuse, who is just looking for a safe place to come and share your story and not to feel judged, but to feel like you are amongst friends and family. This group is a really good place. I've gotten a lot of responses from the video itself and also from the group. And in talking with a lot of yous, I get a lot of questions regarding recovery and requesting information. Because a lot of you are already in therapy and counseling, or are seeking therapy or counseling, or if not, have seen someone and have possibly been diagnosed with some form of diagnoses, psychiatric diagnoses. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. Being a survivor or a person who has experienced sexual molestation, rape, assault, whatever word you want to use for it. I've experienced all of them. What I am very familiar with are the residual effects that we suffer with sometimes for the rest of our lives after this has happened. And that's why I always like to say and let it be known that whenever a person is sexually violated, the predator, the person who is perpetrating that violation, they might as well just take a gun and put it to that person's head, because you have essentially taken their lives. And from that first incident, their lives are changed forever. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this after effects checklist that I found in Sue Blume, Sue, S-U-E, Blume, B-L-U-M-E, in her book, Secret Survivors, Uncovering Incest and Its Aftereffects in Women. Don't worry, guys. I'm looking for stuff for you guys, too. It's just that when people come to me for information, I'm more privy to give them things that I have used within my recovery. So I'm not leaving you guys out. But, however, that is really a good book. Men can use it, too, especially after effects checklist. There is no gender bias or whatever for that. And also, that after effects checklist is not just for incest survivors, and it's for those who have experienced sexual violation in their childhood. But I think that book is also good for those who have experienced sexual violation, period. And I also think it's good, especially the checklist, for those who may have experienced physical abuse as well. So what I want to talk about with that is that, number one, with the after effects checklist, there are 37 residual effects, and they all are very detailed and broken down to explain to you very plainly the different actions or behaviors or reactions, emotional disturbances, even down to your finances, so many different things, addictive behavior, different addictions. There are 37 different residual after effects that adults experience after they have been sexually abused as a child. And like I said, one of the things, reasons I wanted to talk about this, because there's some of you that have already been given certain diagnoses, and I wanted to provide you with certain information so that you may want to challenge your therapist, your counselor, psychiatrist about those particular diagnoses, because I let it be known that I am in the final stages of completing my master's for professional counseling. Thank God. I'm actually in my internship, and throughout my tenure of my education and in my experience and dealing with different case files, what I have come to recognize is that there are a lot of people who are being diagnosed with different diagnoses or psychiatric disorders, to include bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder. I can't really run them off on the top of my head. A lot of the mood disorders, personality disorders, and conduct disorders, especially the conduct disorders in children. And I looked through the case files, and what I've noticed is that at some point, many of them have experienced sexual violation in their lives, many of them as kids, and a lot of them with family members, and they're not being diagnosed with PTSD. And if I'm not mistaken, in that after effects checklist, it might actually mention PTSD. And one of the things that one of the people in my group mentioned is that they didn't even realize that PTSD is an actual mental disorder or mental illness. And yes, it is. And also, I want to make it known that a lot of people think PTSD is attributed to war vets, those who have been in the military, but PTSD can be attributed to anybody who has experienced trauma, period. And people experience trauma in very different ways. You have people like those who were in Katrina, who are in hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that, and they lose everything or they lose everybody, and they experience trauma from that. It's not easy to get over. Some people experience trauma from grief when they lose loved ones. There's many different ways that people can experience trauma, and if at any time that trauma has prevented you from being able to function normally in your daily life, then you might want to consider if there's a possibility that you have PTSD. And also, I want to make it known, I've struggled with PTSD over the years. I know a lot of people who have struggled, and a lot of us do not need medication to cope. And one of the things I do advocate against is taking medication if it's absolutely not necessary. Me, period, I almost overdose on Percocets about 7, 8 years ago, somewhere along in there. So I'm really not, I don't care for medication unless it's absolutely necessary. So I kind of advocate against it, because I honestly believe there are some people who may need medication, who might have chemical imbalances and things like that. But I do believe that for the most part, our humanity was born and bred and given innately, inherently, all of the things that we need, coping skills and things to overcome obstacles, that encapsulates that resiliency. Sometimes we just have to tap into it. And just in case you didn't know, I am that one that will light a fire up under your ass. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this particular video, because when I first started my recovery, and my mentor mentioned to me Survivors of Incest Anonymous, and I came across that After Effects checklist. When I first saw it on the computer screen, I sat there and I couldn't do that. I just stared at the computer screen, and I cried and I cried and I cried like a baby, because it was like I was looking at myself and I was like, oh my God, this person is messed up. All of these are me. Out of that 37, I know I probably had well over 25 of those residual effects. And it was like, it gave me a really quick mental picture of how messed up my life had become over 20 years. And it scared me, it hurt me, it angered me, I was confused. And I started going through, all of this stuff that emotionally. And then all of a sudden, in an instant, thanks be to God, I realized that ain't you. That's the person you became because of what happened to you. What I was essentially looking at, and those of you who choose to go take a look at it, it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint of what happens to you because of your experiences. And what I came to realize in that moment is, because it's on the internet, that means that there are millions of people who are experiencing this, and it's not just me. And in that instant, it also made me realize that there is a whole another human being inside of you that you can get to know. Not only do you get to know that human being, you can change the course of this human being's life. You can bring her out of this depression. You can change her negative habitual habits. And essentially, you can help this person get the life that was meant. And when I realized that, I got super excited. And I get super excited now every day. I've been in recovery for 9 years. And every day I think of, what can I learn new about this girl? Because I will promise you this. The woman that I look in the mirror and see today, and the woman that you see today, that is not the woman I was 9 years ago. I wasn't as strong and as bold and gosh, just so willing and free to share my gifts and talents with the world, and knew that I was enough, that I was good enough. I didn't know that, but the person that I have come to know, I know her likes, her dislikes, what she want, what she don't want, what she need, what she don't need. I've come to know the things that make her happy, the things that make her sad. And the crazy thing is, it's more or less like I come to rediscover, because I rediscovered the person that I was becoming when I turned 13, before my dad crossed that line. That 33-year-old at the time, because I started my recovery at 33, that 33-year-old met that 13-year-old, and that 33-year-old grew that 13-year-old up. I don't have a problem telling anyone my government is Tara. And Tara is that 13-year-old, okay? That 13-year-old that was raped and molested and abused so many times over and over in her life. Tara is that 13-year-old who, after experiencing all that, cowered inside, lost her identity, self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, and she cowered. She lost out on a lot of opportunities in her life. Well, that 33-year-old Melody came and she grew that 13-year-old up. So it's been 9 years in my recovery. Tara's about 22 years old now. And Tara can be held sometimes. And Mel has to come along and shake Tara. And Mel has to come along sometimes and she got to encourage Tara. And sometimes she got to talk shit to Tara and get her up off her ass and light a fire up under her ass as well. But what I'm saying to you is, go with that dichotomy that resides in you. Okay, all of us have who have experienced violation in that matter. There is at least a dichotomy of two people that reside in you. And what you want to do is you want to take care, self-care, okay? And you want to learn to take care of that 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old that was sexually molested or raped or touched, or things just said out of the way too, or just orally assaulted or whatever. Love that young person. Give that young person all the love that you never got. And raise that young person to be the person that you want that young person to be. Give them all that love, all the support, all the appreciation that you never got. Give it to yourself. Don't wait on another motherfucker to give you what you got that resides in you. The reason being, we've been downtrodden and beat up so long that we feel like we can't come up. But you can come up. It's your choice. Everything is about choice. Everything is about choice. I know that a lot of us, because of what we've been through, the trauma, it can be stagnant. It can. But you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice to definitively put in the work to go get the life that you want. And your work may be a lot worse, or not a lot worse, but your work may be a lot more than the next person. It may not be as much as the next person. Your recovery could very well kick off, and within 2 or 3 years, you're right at a very mental state. It could very well happen. Everybody goes about things differently, but it's not impossible. Definitely not impossible. So what I want to do is I want to encourage you guys to go take a look at that After Effects checklist. Go look at it, see yourselves, and then see the new you that you can be. Okay. And then also for those who have already been given certain diagnoses, look at that After Effects checklist. Look up the information for PTSD. You can also look up the DSM-5 on the internet. It's the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And look at the signs and symptoms for PTSD, and see if you might want to go to your therapist, counselor, psychiatrist, whatever, and say, why wasn't I ever diagnosed with this? Because like I said, I think a lot of that stuff can be handled with what they call cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT therapy. And a lot of that is just what we use called recognizing self-talk, automatic thoughts, and which basically talks about those inner conversations that we have with ourselves, and most of them are negative. Think about it, most of the time when you are having conversations in your head, how often is it really positive? Especially for those who've experienced some form of violation, we can be very, very hard on ourselves. And before I go, I just want to say this also. Please, to all my victims and all my survivors, stop being so hard on yourselves. Please, we've had enough people to beat us up enough. It doesn't matter what rape culture say. It doesn't matter what people say when they're defending Bill Cosby. It doesn't matter what they say when they're defending R. Kelly. Okay, you are still worthy of the life, of a good life that you deserve. All this other stuff, it don't matter. We need to learn how to get rid of, I think Joyce Myers calls it stinking thinking. So again, I have enjoyed my time with you guys, as always. And please, 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 Sue, S-U-E, Blume. And I'm also going to put the link down bottom, so that you guys can go adequately find the site and you can see this after effects checklist that I'm referring to. And if anybody would like to reach out to me that I could, forward you any information directly, you can hit me up on my email. It's melwilson0714@gmail.com. You can also hit me up at longnailbeautiesllc@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook. The survivors group on Facebook, again, is Striving to Survive to Thrive. And I also have a few fan pages on there: Girl Mel's Nails, Girl Melody, Madam Melody, and Long Nail Beauties Association. I also have my Twitter, which is Melly_Mel2009, and Instagram is Girl Melody _714. I think that's what it is. So you guys reach out to me, and again, check out that list, use it for what it's worth. And I love yous. I've enjoyed my time, and namaste. Later. Come on and let's talk. It's been long enough, don't stall. I've been thinking, now let's call it what it is. You don't even try. You toss my love aside for someone who turned it